So it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 13 Pro Max and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro Max in 2021 and see which specific phone is a better one for you. Now, my iPhone 13 Pro Max keeps randomly restarting, so there's not much I can do about that. But nonetheless, these two phones are very, very interesting devices. If you have the money, go for the 13 Pro Max. It only makes sense to buy a phone like this. But the 11 Pro Max is still there if you want to save a bunch of money. So links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside, the iPhone 11 Pro Max has a pretty decent 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED display, and it's a pretty good panel. I have used this panel for quite a bit of time on my iPhone 11 Pro. I think even this one is an aftermarket display, and it looks pretty good. I feel like this is a pretty good panel overall. It's definitely not perfect, but I do think Apple did a decent job with this screen, and I give them a lot of credit for kind of giving us this type of phone during that moment because they actually changed a lot of stuff with it compared to the XS Max. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, on the other hand, massive design change, I would say. So with the 13 Pro Max, you're getting a bigger 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So it's a bigger display, just slightly but a little bit bigger. You're still getting that notch up top, which is nice. But this is a Pro Motion display, 120 hertz display on this thing, and it looks beautiful. I'm a massive fan of Apple, and whenever they make a design change or big changes like this, it's really important. And this phone, you are getting that much better of a display, which is so cool to see. So personally for me, 120 hertz bigger display, sharper looking display, this is definitely the better one for sure. Now, in terms of thinness and thickness between the two, you are getting slightly different experiences between both. So there is a similarity where there's like the reflective material between both. I like it and I think it looks nice. You're getting different type of, the buttons and everything are in the same spots, kind of the SIM card slots are in different areas, but you are getting a flat side on the iPhone 13 Pro Max where you're getting a curved side on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And now in 2023, just like in 2021, so many phones have migrated over to this type of like flatter side. Even with the Pixels and Galaxies, they're more flat than ever before. So more phones seem more like the 13 Pro Max than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So that's kind of a major thing I would kind of argue to kind of keep in mind there. On the bottom, you're getting Lightning ports on both, which look really good. I've always liked Lightning ports, but USB-C is better. And on the back, we have a completely cracked back on my 13 Pro Max. Would you look at this? I mean, it looks disgusting. The 11 Pro Max has a little tiny crack right there, but for the most part, they're very similar. They're both frosted glass backs, so that's something that's very interesting. The frosted glass back actually originated on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So that is something that's very interesting. When you're getting an iPhone 11 Pro Max, that design, the frosted glass back has kept relatively the same even on the latest generation. You are missing out on a few things though on the 11 Pro Max. For one, like I said, I think that it's a heavier phone on the 13 Pro Max. It feels pretty good. You're also getting MagSafe capability on the 13 Pro Max here, where you're getting the standard, wireless charging and everything on the 11 Pro Max. Still perfectly good, but I think you're getting a better, capability on the 13 Pro Max than on the 11 Pro Max right there as well. You're getting IP certification on both phones. You're getting wireless charging on both, standard stuff. But I would probably say the 13 Pro Max, even though my 13 Pro Max is completely cracked, you're getting an overall better built phone on the 13 Pro Max than on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So that kind of covers it up there. Now, in terms of the software and longevity, so you're going to be getting a longer lasting phone from the 13 Pro Max than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So it's probably going to be about 2 years or so. So that's probably a big thing to keep in mind too. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both phones. The iPhone 11 Pro Max has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 13 Pro Max has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background. 13 Pro Max is here, 11 Pro Max is here. Phone call is 3, 2, 1. Now this phone is probably going to randomly restart, so I'm going to go as quickly as I can to load up as many applications, because by the time this one restarts, it's going to be kind of too late, to be honest. The 11 Pro Max was faster there. App Store 3, 2, 1. I think the 11 Pro Max was actually slightly faster there too. I wonder why that's happening. Mail 3, 2, 1. Okay, 13 Pro Max faster there. Clock 3, 2, 1. The same thing. Camera 3, 2, 1. Let's take a photo 3, 2, 1. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's go and get into some of these third-party applications. Let's try Stack 3, 2, 1. And the 13 Pro Max, I think, was slightly faster there. Subway Surfers, 3, 2, 1. Okay. two different pop-ups on both. Let's try Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And it looks to me that the 13 Pro Max is probably going to be the faster one here, followed by the iPhone 11 Pro Max being slightly slower. Oh, sorry, the 11 Pro Max was faster, and the 13 Pro Max was slower. That's another really weird thing. I keep getting these two switched. The last video had the 13 Pro Max here. So the 11 Pro Max is actually the faster one there, which is very, very weird. Snapchat 3, 2, 1. Perfect. I'll do a couple more before this one dies out. Netflix 3, 2, 1. 13 Pro Max slightly faster. Snake vs. Blocks 3, 2, 1. But so far, we've been kind of seeing that sometimes the 13 Pro Max is faster, sometimes the 11 Pro Max is faster. I don't know if there's like a consistent winner here, which is very weird. I was expecting the iPhone 13 Pro Max to be faster every single time, but even here, the 11 Pro Max seems to be doing, I think, a better job overall than something like the iPhone, 13 Pro Max, which is very, very crazy. So, in terms of that, what I would probably say, very surprising that the 13 Pro Max is doing as good as it is. I'd probably say that the 11 Pro Max is sometimes faster. I'd probably give the yes to the 13 Pro Max, but it's still very crazy how good of a job the 11 Pro Max did today, in my opinion. So that pretty much covers it up there. Now, in terms of the camera quality between them, this was also a pretty big difference, in my opinion. With they're both getting triple camera setups on the back, which is beautiful. Having that triple camera setup is really important because you can go and zoom in and zoom out as much as you want to. And that is really one of the more important things you can do with a phone, in my opinion. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that wide ultra-wide telephoto lenses, 4K at 60 on the front and 4K at 60 on the back, which is really cool. Now, with something like the iPhone 11 Pro Max, I really do feel like this is a very, very decent camera for its age. I've always felt like, Apple did a good job with these types of lenses. You're getting basically, I think, 10x zoom or whatever this is, and you're getting 0.5x zoom on the outside. Fairly solid camera, fairly solid lens for the most part. You're getting video mode, slow mode, time lapse. You're getting some other stuff here and there. You're getting portrait mode and panorama mode. I've always felt like I said before, that this was a very solid camera. And even nowadays, I mean, they're still doing a really good job at kind of handling this type of lens. It's not perfect, but I think Apple's done a good job with this type of phone. And for me personally, it gets a thumbs up for sure. Now with the 13 Pro Max, I think this is a pretty solid camera too. Definitely not perfect, but I think they've done a really, really good job with this type of camera. Now, this is a better camera than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. You're getting 15x zoom, which is insane, and you're getting 0.5x zoom on the outside. This is a very good camera as well, and I've always liked this type of lens. You're getting video mode, cinematic mode, you're getting portrait mode and panorama mode as well. So there's still a lot to love with this type of camera, and this is a better camera for sure than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I've always felt like it. I felt like it since day one, and that's basically more or less the same, exactly what's happening now. So that kind of covers it up there. And to be honest, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is by far a better phone in every single area than the iPhone 11 Pro Max. This is a very good phone, and it's going to, dominate the 11 Pro Max pretty much every single way. Battery life, performance, camera, basically everything. But you kind of saw today that the iPhone 11 Pro Max did a pretty decent job. I mean, it kind of outperformed the 13 Pro Max some ways. And I do think Apple did such a tremendous job with this phone. And if you're willing to buy it today, I mean, I'd recommend it. It's not super expensive. It is significantly cheaper than the 13 Pro Max. So this is a phone I'd 1000% recommend. The 13 Pro Max is a better phone, but this one is also a very solid phone for the price. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.